man's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What's going on, everybody? This is Dan French. This is another French Workbench podcast on a Saturday morning. I have a full studio, a lot of good people in here. We're going to talk appraisals. We're going to talk real estate. We're going to talk financing. And everybody out there that's a father, happy Father's Day this weekend. I want to let everybody know we appreciate you all. And we have a couple of fathers. You a father too, yeah. So I want to go right into it. We're going to talk with Mr. Matt Scheel. Scheel Team 6, what's going on over here today, Mr. Matt Scheel?
Good morning. Everything's good. You know, just trying to be a good person and whatnot and close some deals.
Absolutely.
Matt's been up since 4 a.m. working hard.
Yeah. Mustn't listen to the voices that tell you to be mean to people in real estate.
Also, we have a guest here. He's been on the show before, Mr. Andy Papazian. He's a appraiser. Andy, what's happening with you today, man? How's life?
Life's great. Staying busy. Real estate market's pretty hot.
Oh, it's booming, right?
It is booming.
Well, the prices are booming. I don't know if the homes are booming. There's not a lot to choose from.
No.
We also have Mr. Brett Ginney here. He's back. He was golf last week. What'd you do, man? You got certified. Is that right?
Yeah, man. I got certified as
Let's see the certification, man. What happened? What did you do?
Bro, I'm a certified Bitcoin professional.
Let me
And I have a piece of paper that shows it. So
let's take a look at it, man.
look at that.
Wow, look at you moving on up. Certified Bitcoin, so it's only for Bitcoin. It's not for cryptocurrency.
And I got my cert to be the one and only crypto certified agent in the state of Nevada.
Really?
I have that as well.
Really?
I got both of them last weekend.
Oh, wow. Dude, you're killing it right now. So what's going
So
on?
how am I going to make money off it? I don't know yet.
You'll do something with it, I'm sure, man. That's what you
Buy
do,
or
man.
sell your house with Bitcoin. I'll facilitate that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk about financing real estate. Let's talk about appraisals and how they've gone crazy. And that's why we have Andy in here. We're going to start with that. You guys can attest to as far as what's going on with the appraisals.
We're actually, Andy doesn't know it, but we're at the end of this, after we talk to him, we're going to shoot him. Because Andy's an appraiser.
I just had
That's like the lurking Hulk.
All right, Matt, what happened on your
real
deal?
estate transaction?
who rained on your deal's parade? Who rained on your deal's parade?
I'm just pulling Andy's chain. But I do have some questions for him.
Excellent.
So do I.
Perfect.
What's your
He's like, great, can't wait.
So let's talk about what's going on. No appraisal contingency. It's really gone to a point where it's no return. Because everybody's writing them. You know, you look at the agent comments. We were looking at that yesterday. Most of these properties are already coming out saying, hey, we're not even going to look at that, you know? So
right.
What is the challenges that's out there? Andy, you've seen it. Let's talk with you first. So what are you seeing out there?
Well, first thing I want to say is our job is not to kill anybody's transaction. However,
Are you
It's
sure
just a
about that,
byproduct
Andy?
of your services.
No, I'm joking. He's a neutral third party.
Exactly. Well, our job is basically to protect the lender from people overpaying and then turning in the properties, walking away. But that's a different topic.
Yeah.
What's been happening lately, like you said, is people are coming in over list price.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes they're waiving the appraisal contingency, or sometimes they'll say, well, we're willing to pay X amount over appraisal, not to exceed the contract.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's fine and dandy. And keeping in mind that the comps that we use, because there's so much activity right now, I try to use comps that close within the last 90 days, which totally reflects what's been happening, what property is sold for. So using those comps, you come up with a value range, and then you get an offer that's $50,000 above any of those. What are you supposed to do with that?
Yeah. I mean, you see the challenges. I mean, you guys, Matt, let's talk about what's going on.
So in respect to that, from the realtor perspective, obviously, we know going in, like we look at, I look at property the same way you do, like plus or minus 20% square footage, like work my way out. So as a realtor, I have an idea of what the appraiser's going to do because I do the same thing pretty much. And then I tell the clients before we write the offer, hey, you're probably going to be out. And then like they know, my clients know, like you might need an extra 20K to get this deal done, or we might have to go to the seller. But it's actually right now, I've had it's a bit of a crapshoot from the realtor perspective, from the appraiser, because, you know, I had a couple appraisals where there's a shortage of comps. I've had appraisers that have tried to help the transaction and have even like looked into the future a bit, but not looked into the future, but like they've taken some comps and then they've added an extra value for time. And that was like really cool, which, you know, it helps the transaction happen because the homes are selling so quickly, and but there's a shortage of comps because there's not many homes that are selling, but they're jumping up quite a bit. And so it's kind of an interesting time now to do an appraisal. But I always, if I can, I always slide in the appraisal contingency, but I say, we will order it within 24 hours. And I come up with some other BS. So they're like, oh, it's okay. They're going to do it. I'm like, we can do it right away. But it's not good to get in a situation with no appraisal contingency unless you've got tons of cash. And that hurts a lot of buyers right now.
Yeah.
You know?
So when we look at the appraisal situation, you're 100% right on that. In your situation, are you getting a lot of people that are challenging these appraisals because they want to get the value?
Yeah, not that many, but we do have some. In the past several months, I think I've only had 2 that challenged it, and the challenge that came from the realtor was absurd, basically.
Yeah,
because they don't know what they're doing.
Most of the time they are.
No, this was a property, $1.5 million property.
Yeah.
Very outdated. And
They're comparing it with something new.
Well, no,
Or
I
something
mean,
that's
their thing was, you know, this property is, I'm not going to mention the community, but it's in such community and it's got all these amenities. And I'm thinking, you know what? All of my comps are from the same community.
Yeah, like
so, you know, don't even go there.
That's the thing that's the thing about appraising in Las Vegas, which is a lot of these homes are track homes or a version of that.
Sure.
So that house, you can literally find the exact model,
Absolutely,
or within this close of it, right there in that community.
And sometimes I'm given comps by realtors, which is fine. I'll look at any comps.
You're like, I never thought of the comps. Thanks, Mr. Realtor.
Yeah, you know,
Are they accurate though? Like, do they?
that's what I'm getting at. They're not accurate.
exactly.
They'll give me homes that are much smaller because they know you're gonna have to adjust for the square footage and artificially bump the price up.
But that's not the same comparable, right? So if what I'm saying is you can take the same community, right? But if you have a home that's say 2,500 square feet versus one that's 1,600 square feet, you can't take the price per square foot on one of them and apply it to the other one.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, and that's what some realtors don't understand, which is
appraisal standards, we can't even use price per square foot.
Yep.
I mean, you'll end up with a price per square foot.
Yeah,
but you can't use that as your business.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, because that's not the same home. I mean, a house at 1,000 square feet difference. I don't care if it's the same community. I don't care if it's down the street.
Right,
you can't use it.
Sometimes we do actually. There
Do
are
you?
situations.
Okay.
But I'll tell you when. Not in the track home situation. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
When you've got homes that are, you know, custom homes or whatever, way out, you know, 1 acre land, you cannot find model matches. Sometimes you're forced to use stuff like that, or go out 2 or 3 miles to.
But
find
you guys always start with the immediate and work your way out.
Absolutely,
you know, and
that's
you do.
correct.
If you can't find, then you work your way out, and that's how. But you can justify it that way.
Exactly right. That's the key word.
Andy, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
This is like, I mean, I never had the opportunity to like have a conversation with the appraiser like
Absolutely,
like
yeah.
this. Not like not in battle, you know. And so I was curious, is when you're out about doing your business, like if you're in like a really good mood, right? Did you increase your valuations?
Are you talking? Are you talking? So hold on. So
if you're in a bad mood, is that
so? What you're saying
that's
is
not good?
he's like a cop when he pulls you over. I got to fight with my wife this morning. So now your ass is getting a ticket versus a warning.
Let me say why. Is that when, on my listings, when I know there's probably going to be an issue, right? I will block access to the house, and then I will put my phone number down, and I would say appointment only.
Yeah.
And then I'll meet the appraiser, and I'll try and put some like fucking energy. And then each time I've done that, like it's come at value or it's just been off.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm there like, here's the contract, and then I'm like, this is good, look at this, and then
at the end of the day, he still has the same numbers. He's got to go by. I mean, that's the thing about his job is there's really is no room for interpretation. It is what it is.
But I have to say, I believe that there is a vibe with appraisers as well, and so it helped when I've got a problem, when I know it's probably going to be an issue.
Yeah.
I'll show up, and I don't interfere.
Right.
But I just kind of be like, 445.
Hey, but they don't come at you like, hey,
but
you know
it's
what?
cool. I make fun of
Yeah.
it. It's like
Right.
I meet someone, so
Yeah.
we have a laugh and we
Yeah.
talk.
Right, yeah.
And that sometimes I mean it. I've just observed like a noticeable difference if I make the effort to do that, because if I'm not there and I know there's a slight challenge. If I'm not there, then it's just usually the appraiser does exactly.
So
what
it
they
makes a
want,
big
you know?
difference then
I
when you're
don't-
there to see the appraiser when they're showing up, does it?
I wouldn't say, because it would be rude to. I'd be being rude to you as a professional.
Yeah.
Like, because you look at the data,
Right,
and you're
right.
objective.
Exactly.
But I do think there's a discernible. I think it's worth it to meet the appraiser. Like,
There's nothing wrong with
there's
that,
nothing-
but
but not to. I don't bug them.
Right,
But
right,
it's
of
just to
course,
like
yeah.
make a connection.
Sure.
you know?
I don't, because I don't want to have any
Yeah.
mixing of.
To be honest, it
Yeah.
really doesn't make any difference, at least to me.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't really.
Yeah.
That should not be a
Agreed.
factor.
Yeah,
you know.
agreed.
At the end of the day, you look at the data, you look at the level of upgrades in the house. When you compare it to MLS photos, because typically you come up with a value
Yeah.
of the range. It's not a number, strict number at first. You come up with a range, and then depending on where this house is located, how desirable it
Yeah.
is, you know,
You
maybe
break
it's a
it. You
little
break
bit
it down
nicer.
from there, but you come
Right.
up with a basic platform
Maybe
and
it
then
has
start
a
breaking.
nicer
Yeah.
backyard or something, and then
Yep.
you value it in the range. Basically, if it's a nicer property,
Yeah.
it'll end up on the higher end of the range. So
So
Yeah.
I have actually, it's a kind of a nosy business personal question, but when you do an appraisal, we get like what's the cost for an appraisal to the consumer? Like
It's
$550?
anywhere from
Four
$300
to-
to $500,
yeah,
I would
400
say.
to 500.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
that
300,
range.
yeah.
So do you,
Something like that.
Is that does that all go to you? Or
Well,
does-
it depends.
If he owns the company,
oh, it depends.
No,
on,
no,
okay,
that's
I
not
was
it
curious.
either.
No?
That's secondary.
And I'm being nosy, but I just was curious.
That's fine. No, the primary thing with that is if a company uses an AMC, okay, if it's a mortgage lender, they
Yeah.
have to go through an AMC,
What does
Okay.
AMC stand for?
appraisal management company.
Okay, right.
If it's a direct lender, they do not have to use an AMC. They could if they want to, but they don't have.
they
to.
can have their own then.
Yeah, they can do their in-house. Some of the larger banks, I know that they're doing that.
Okay.
So if it's a direct lender, the entire fee goes to you. They may
Okay.
have a transaction fee of $25 or something.
Okay.
But you're. I got you. You're an appraiser that works just for them though.
No, you can work for a lot of other
Okay.
companies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I was just curious. That was
Yeah.
all.
If
Yeah,
it's
I
an
got you.
AMC,
It's just the- you got some
if it's an
management.
AMC, they might charge the client $600 and pay the appraiser $350 or $400.
Gotcha.
Can you do you do VA appraisals?
I don't. I'm not
Because you
VA
have to
certified.
you have to be VA certified to
Correct.
do the VA,
Correct.
and then
I'm
They-
FHA
they-
approved.
They
Yeah.
need some younger blood
Yeah.
with VA appraisers, dude. 10
I
years,
don't
they're all
know.
going to be.
Yeah.
I have 10 days, just so you know. I know, dude. Trust me. Every VA appraiser. Hey, man, how's that appraisal? I have 10 days.
Right.
how many?
I know,
appraisals-
dude.
How many appraisals?
Why don't you
do
take the full 10?
How many appraisals do you do a day, approximately? Like, can you do? What's the most you could do? Like 3 or 4?
I've done up to 6.
6.
But
Wow.
But having said
Doing
that,
the reports, how long does that take?
that's where.
Yeah,
where-
that's-
what I've done is I've come up with a system that works for me. So I
Mm-hmm.
only do 2 appraisals a day, but I turn the appraisals in within 1 to 2 days max.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
if I
good.
go
He's
out
a
and
good
do,
one.
If
Yeah.
I go out and do 6 appraisals or 6 inspections,
You know how long you're going to be doing paperwork?
you're not going to get that.
Lock yourself
appraisal for a
away.
week.
Yeah, lock yourself away for a week.
Right.
Literally.
Exactly. I'm serious.
Like that's the difference
what
between an
happens.
agent running comps and an appraiser.
Right.
Is that work right there?
Right.
Yeah, interesting.
That's why they're licensed and we're not at it. Right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's true.
I mean, it
So there's a
makes
lot of
sense.
new appraisal reports that I'm getting back that new homes are starting to come in less than value. Is that starting to increase? Because I'm starting to see this as a trend. I think I've had 2 now that have come in a lot less.
That's a warning sign.
Yes.
Because that's an indication of something.
Well,
just by that
let
happening.
me say this before any of this. As a disclaimer to everybody listening out there, with new home builders, when you sign their contracts to have them start building you a house, I'm just letting you know right now, the contracts are set up in the builder's favor.
Oh, of course.
And very much so. And so much to the fact that they have in there that if the house doesn't appraise out, you're bringing in the difference.
Yeah.
Almost
That's
every
someone
home builder, when you get into a contract with a home builder,
Right.
a lot of times they don't point that out, or they do, but it's for half a second. But it's a very important thing, especially in this market,
Right.
if things are appraised and lower, which is you're going to be looked upon as the buyer to bring in that difference. And you sign that at the beginning.
I personally have not seen
I
that
think they'll let
happen
'em
too
out.
much.
Yeah.
Because simply, I just did one. It's a brand new home. Contract was written September of last year. Okay, so a lot has happened since then. So there's a time adjustment to do as well.
Yeah.
And what I do is I adjust for lot premiums and upgrades and builder options.
But their builders are sending you that. They're sending you the info ahead of time. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean those are contracts that they've closed.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
to
yeah. So
validate
yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah.
But what I just one second, Matt. One other thing I do is whenever possible, I try to get a resale that's somewhere very close by, even if it's not in the same subdivision, because that resale is going to show me what's been happening in the timeline as far as increasing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Good point.
But the thing is,
that's a good point.
if you are able to make an adjustment in new home appraisals for lot premiums, and that's like effectively putting a Bitcoin element in the transaction.
Well,
because
no.
and the reason I say is because you can just look at it and say it's worth that. That's the lot premium,
Right.
And it goes, but you could.
I'm not giving it value though. What I'm
You
doing
don't give it
is
value?
here's what I'm
That's
doing.
all determined by supply and demand.
Let's say the subject paid a $12,000 lot premium. That's what
Okay.
they were
Sure.
charged.
At that time.
One of my comps, let's say, they paid $20,000. So there's an $8,000 difference. So I'm going to subtract that $8,000 from the comp. So now they're the same.
Okay.
It looks like they both paid $12,000.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same thing with upgrades. Somebody may have paid $50,000. Another one paid, $70,000. $20,000 would come off. Now they're both $50,000 upgrades.
I got a question on that. So I had somebody that recently was in a contract, and the appraiser went out maybe too soon. And what they ended up doing is they ended up probably, I would say,
Is this for a new home?
it was for a new home.
Okay.
Looking at the value first and then saying, well, I'm not going to adjust up because it got to a point where it was further down the road, and they were like, we're not going to we're not going to update that to the upgrades cost. Is that something that happens? Yeah. Does that happen where it's like they're saying, well, we ordered the appraisal already and we already did the final inspection, but yet when they had the upgrades, they didn't actually increase it to the total purchase price with the upgrades. It was kind of weird.
No, we get a list of the total upgrades, the final upgrades. It tells you right there.
Yeah.
So that's final. That's not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
If it does change for some strange reason, it's not going to make that much difference.
Yeah, they made that decision based off of everything the builder had already sent to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it got ordered too soon, I think. And this is where I'm
what's
saying
too soon? What
Yeah,
size
what do
was
you
the
mean by
property
that?
at?
they ordered it before the upgrades happened.
They don't have to have happened. As long as it's in the contract, there's a clause in the appraisal that says it's assumed that those upgrades, whatever was written in there, have happened.
Like they can see what upgrades are going to be in there.
Right.
So I feel that this appraiser then looked at it and went, you know what? I just don't see the value, I guess, right? But other properties in the area were selling at that price point and well above with the upgrades. So I'm not sure why.
Every once in a while, there's like, let me give an example. I have a listing. We have an accepted offer. We just got the appraisal back, right? We put this on the market about a month and a half ago, received an accepted offer right away. We had it listed at $445. Okay. Received an accepted offer. Appraisal came back at 402. 402 from 445.
Wow.
So buyer and seller can't agree. We put it back in the market. Seller lowers it to 433.
Yeah.
We got an accepted offer for 430. It just appraised out at 430 yesterday.
Okay.
That was 2 weeks. How did it appraise out 30 grand difference?
Well,
Just 2 weeks before that.
That's where the agent could have found some comps that were really good comps and say,
But
could you please consider these comps?
The first appraiser did a drive-by.
Oh, see that's
The second appraiser actually went in there.
Are they
I
doing
know,
that?
but it's like you're going to somebody and saying, "Hey, man."
But you see, that's not the appraiser's call. That's what the lender ordered.
Oh well.
Whatever. I get
That lender's not involved because that's with a different buyer, not anymore.
Question about that transaction. In the first buyer, how much were they putting down?
20%.
Okay, does that make a difference when you do an appraisal?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
That one and this one were both conventional loans.
If there's more down payment, do you think like you can?
No.
Okay.
No,
That's,
it comes down to the first appraiser called me on the phone, asked me a few questions, and said, okay, I don't need to go in. I'm just going to do a drive-by.
That's
Came in at 402,
Yeah.
and the other one's like, and I said, listen, I know it's maybe not 445, but 402.
Yeah.
Bro, that's like a 10%.
So I have another question.
I've been doing this too long to be that wrong.
Yeah. So, Andy, when you're doing an appraisal and there's homes in the neighborhood that are in contract but aren't sold, do you usually talk to the agent and ask them what the contract price is?
I do. Sometimes they'll
If
tell
you're
me.
able
Sometimes
to.
they won't.
Okay.
But we are
Do you
required.
take that into consideration in your appraisal?
I do. I don't give it value, but I use 2 pending or available listings with every one of my appraisals.
Yeah.
Okay.
He gives it weight. He just doesn't use it for...
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
just see the lenders require us to use those when the market was normal.
Yeah.
Fannie Mae had said if it's a declining market, when you do your analysis and there's a decline, you must use those, not to give them value,
The
but you
bottom
need to
side
include
ones.
them.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
2 pendings or
More
2
risk
available.
averse.
Really?
To
Right.
get rid of the
Huh.
risk better.
But now, because of the upswing like this, they're not requiring us, but I always use them.
Okay.
Of course, they're not going to require on the other side when it's reversed.
Right.
So is it hard to get comps right now? I mean, because because
some places are, but most are not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it make a difference if a realtor actually meets you at the property? I'm curious because I think the
Not
mindset.
to me.
Okay, so
Not to
somebody.
Wait, but we're not on a one-on-one situation.
Let's shut the
Andy,
door.
where's your, Andy,
Yeah,
where's
he's
your
saying
accent
personally,
from?
it doesn't matter to him.
You have an accent. Where's it from?
I speak a couple of different languages.
What languages?
Armenian and Bulgarian.
I was going to say Persian.
No. Very
Armenian.
far
Oh,
from
sorry.
Persian.
I meant to say. I was going to say that, but yeah, Armenian's completely different.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long you been an appraiser, Andy?
18 years.
Okay, you've seen all the things
Well,
going up
I
and down. as far-
started in
He started as a
2003.
realtor.
Well, I was a realtor for many years before that. But I started 2003, and then by the time I got certified 2 years later, that's when the market was doing this.
Yeah.
And then another 2-3 years later, we saw it going down. So
And you weren't crooked, and you were a good appraiser, which
I
is why
was
you
never
lasted through.
crooked.
So
Yeah.
that's how you can tell the appraisers who survived
And
out
let-
of that were the good ones,
Let-
because
let
the
me
bad
tell
ones
you-
got blacklisted.
Yeah, let me tell
Absolutely.
you what happened though at
Yeah.
that time. People that bought homes, one of them actually came back and wanted to, I don't know if it was take legal action or whatever, but wanted to complain because they thought they overpaid for the property.
Sure.
Okay, so if I was a crooked appraiser, I probably would have lost
in
my
trouble.
license. But because I can support everything
Yeah,
I did, that
that's
really
exactly
never
why.
even went
Yeah.
anywhere.
Nobody or client or one thing's worth losing your license
No,
for.
but you
Sure.
see, that's
Yeah.
what's going to happen. You know, people go, "Oh man, this appraiser just blew my deal." 2-3 years from now, when the market goes down,
Yep.
they can say, "Man, I overpaid. My agent didn't have my best interest.
Yeah.
Let's sue him." Oh, the
Yeah.
appraiser, yeah, he colluded with the agent.
Yeah.
Let's sue him too.
That's why I never show up. I don't know who the appraiser is. I don't want to know who the appraiser is. Dude, I want no
so-
responsibility with that.
Andy, where do you think this
It is
market's
what it is,
heading
you
right
know?
now?
You know, it's still going up, and it's a feeding frenzy, which is it's a mirror image of what happened in 2007 and 8. Most people disagree with that. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
but
It
something's
is,
gonna
but the
cause
underlying
this.
things are different, though.
They are. I agree with that.
That's the difference, though,
But
because
the
unless
result
you
will be the same. That's-
No, it won't. Not
Well-
even close. So how is somebody paying cash or 50% cash for their house? Even if a home goes down 20%, how are they going to be?
Those are not. They can't do anything.
There
There's
you go.
nobody they can blame.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's not going to.
But the ones that are getting a loan, they're just gonna stop making payments for a couple of years, get their money out as far as down payment goes, then walk away.
Until we have 10 times buyer for every house.
Yeah, but
That's not going to affect anything.
no, but that's an artificial situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Do you think this market will crash at some point? We had obviously the issues with lenders and giving out bad loans. What do you think this market? How is it different?
Well, I'm not seeing as many bad loans these days. I'm sure there are some, but we no longer have those. What are they
Arms.
called? Arm loans. We don't see
Nina's,
those.
no income, no assets.
Yeah, right.
I'm a teacher. I make $400,000 a year. Trust me.
Exactly.
Sounds good. Sign here.
So we're not seeing that, but there's a lot of other factors. One, in my opinion, the biggest factor is water situation.
Sure.
That no one's talking about.
No.
The drought.
I was talking about
Yeah.
this yesterday.
Yeah, they're building these mega apartment buildings, which is totally ridiculous. That's the highest density you can.
Well,
put.
here's the thing.
So
You have so I understand all that, but my whole thing is you have all these people moving here. Where are they supposed to live then, dude? I mean, unless
can't
you've been
say
like,
that.
everyone's like, oh, we need to quit building. Okay, where are they supposed to go then?
Okay, what if it comes to the point where there's such a water shortage that they turn off your water every day for 3 or 4 hours? What are you gonna do then? Where's the demand
Yeah.
then?
Then the market will take care of itself and people will move.
Exactly.
But that's
What
not going to
happens-
happen. That's
what
not going to
happens
happen.
when that happens?
That's not going
Well,
to happen.
I hope
We're
not,
humans,
but-
man. We are still alive for a reason.
I have to say
It's
that
not going to happen.
Let's hear what Matt
when
has.
I,
Not anytime soon.
Matt,
I
what's
was at the
going on?
mall yesterday because
Yeah.
it was so hot.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have a walk around.
Sure.
And it was cold. So I went into the mall and I got a couple shirts. But when I left the mall, it was 46 degrees outside. And
46 degrees?
It was 46 degrees
When you where?
at the Galleria Mall.
When you walked outside, it was 46
Yeah,
degrees.
yeah. And so then I was, 46 degrees. I'm thinking
Celsius.
Yeah. I was like, that's why I repeated that. I'm like, am I the only one that's not smoking crack right now?
I'm sitting here thinking like this has got to go somewhere. I thought it was a joke.
I'm like, you mean
to see what's going on.
Celsius,
I
right?
meant to say like 120.
Like, dude, I want to go where you're at. Like,
I'm like, bro.
I mean, 46 degrees is about 120 Fahrenheit.
yeah.
And then I just thought, we're not supposed to be here. It was so hot. It was so hot. So the water's a concern. And then I go down the lake and it's gone down so much.
Oh, yeah.
And then, even a group I'm affiliated with, they're doing they have an event today.
Yeah.
They have an event at Willow Beach. It starts at 10 o'clock and it's like a barbecue. And I'm like, dude, it's going to be a 120.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going. You're like,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah.
I gotta work.
It's crazy right now because it's getting so hot out.
Yeah.
It went from like, I mean, it was hot.
Yeah.
But it went from like hot to like extremely hot. And I think a lot of people that are moving
Sweet.
here,
like record setting every day.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man.
Like you're out doing appraisals, right?
Yeah.
Dude, how are you doing?
I try to do them in the morning, but it's still hot though.
5 a.m. Are you guys up? Can I get in?
it's like construction, right?
Right,
You got to
yeah.
get up early.
Yeah,
and go
no
out
kidding, dude. I'm doing my afternoon work in the office, right?
That's right. Yeah.
You ever like if it's a vacant property, you're gonna go down there like 1 o'clock in the morning. It's
If it's vacant and
yeah,
open.
right.
Yeah.
So what's going on, Matt? Let's talk about homes on the market because we all know that we've increased a little bit on homes on the market, and I wanted to talk with you guys about where do you see this going? Because overpriced homes, we have a lot of overpriced homes. It's consistent, but I'm starting to see more properties in the market. I think the last time.
Well,
I looked,
hold on.
Yeah,
Let's go back to that.
yeah.
Overpriced. To
Yeah.
what?
Well,
You say to know everyone. I'm just saying this,
Sure.
not because I'm trying to argue with anyone, but just to kind of point things out, which is the mentality of people.
sure.
Overpriced people, because people love to hear overpriced homes. People go to YouTube. If you're a realtor that talks about how the market's going to crash, you'll get 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Is it true? Nope. But they're telling you what they want to hear. That's
Yeah.
just my opinion. So when you say overpriced, what do you mean by overpriced? Overpriced to what?
Well, I think
Compare to what it's been? Well,
no,
okay.
I think it's like this. When you come into this market, you got a list price, but your mindset's already thinking it's not going to be list price.
people are overpaying less price.
They're overpaying list price. So you're sitting there thinking, well, this is an overpriced market because even if the value's there, we all know that the appraisal contingency is being waived, but they're still willing to go above, and they're writing it agent to agent comments,
so
right?
here's the thing. Are people overpaying for price right now? Yeah. For what they're listed at? Absolutely. Are things escalating? Absolutely. Will things get to a point where they slow down or whatever? Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
But it's all supported by supply and demand right now. That's what I think everybody loves to hear buzzwords and this and that, but it's really simple economics, supply and demand.
But
dude,
supply
there
and
are
demand does not
twice
add
as
value.
3 times as much demand as what's that?
Supply and demand does not create value.
Yes, it does.
mean-
you
No,
know,
it doesn't.
you know what value is? What someone's willing to pay.
Then let them pay the difference.
So as long as people are willing to pay,
That's fine.
Keep going.
and that so.
As long as
but,
they pay the
but
difference.
that continues to happen as long as there's more demand than supply.
Correct. But there's no
So it's
value to that.
supported by supply and demand.
I don't know. I think this is an economic discussion.
Pretty simple. I mean, like at a certain point, if less people start moving here and it slows down, then absolutely. But again, it will be supported by supply and demand.
Right.
It's not being supported by fake loans. It's not being supported by any
That's
fake
a fair
numbers.
point.
I think
that's the
I
huge
think there's
difference I try
angles
to tell
this, though.
people.
But listen, there's
Yeah.
angles to this. I got your point, but also too, if you're getting a loan, the bank's only going to give the value of what it
Exactly,
is.
right.
Yeah.
And
Correct.
It doesn't
so
matter.
as long as people keep doing that, as long as the demand for that keeps happening, but again, it's supported by supply and demand. When people quit
Right.
or stop willing to do that, then the demand is lower.
Well,
supply and demand. It's not like based off of, I mean, it's real simple.
Sure.
So as long as we keep on having the demand move here, like, I don't know what to tell people, man. Will it eventually curve itself down? Absolutely. And it should.
Yeah.
But there's
People
no
get
crash. There's no
Well,
crash.
look, you want to go here? Let's take a look at this really quick. So I just pulled this up, and it looks like there's like 36. Let's get the results on this. There's 3,600 homes on the market right now. It looks like that's
Is that including townhouses?
everything.
Yeah.
That's everything.
check the criteria to like not in contract.
Where is this at? Yeah, it's not in contract.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so there's like 3,662 homes on the market right now.
But how many single family homes?
These are all well. I
No,
don't know.
go to single family. So
Yeah,
go
let's
back
take
to
a look at this real quick
and
again.
click off of just go
family.
single family. There you go.
It's 2,800 single family homes.
There you go.
Okay.
So, but
It's like
still,
2 weeks.
There should be 15,000. When's the market going to be coming down?
well, I don't know. I mean, I think you tell me.
let me
That's
tell
got to even out a little bit more.
But you have to look at the idea that we are looking at homes starting to increase slightly. It doesn't. It's. I think they're starting to. We saw a 3-month high, not highs, but 3-month increase in homes on the market.
We're
existing
at
homes.
record prices that we've ever
Right.
been. Absolutely.
So-
but what I'm saying is that doesn't need to be like a death word.
No.
It's supported by common sense of why that is.
We just
That-
have
that's
to see
all I'm
what
saying.
happened. We just have to see what happened. I'm taking a listing next week. So they bought the house. There's been a life change. They decided they want to move back to California, and it happens rarely, but it's happened twice in 3 years. And it was a referral.
They want to move back to
They've got-
California. Wow.
Yeah, they've done well.
They
and
love taxes.
They want to be next to the ocean, and they
Well,
like
maybe-
they like
hey.
diving.
Well, that'll make sense.
If you can afford it, do it, man.
So
no
anyway,
ocean in Vegas.
They bought their house for like 1.125 million in February.
Sure.
Cash.
Just past February?
Just gone, and then we're going the house. I think the house will appraise now. Like there was a closing. I think it will appraise for 1.163 thousand, and we're listing at 1.25 because I think we got a chance of getting like 1.2. So the house will have gone up 75 grand since February. But like I'm pushing it, and there will be an appraisal issue of about 25-50K.
Sure.
But we know that going in, and I'll tell the buyer as well. And then the invisible hand of economics may wave its magic wand, and supply and demand.
Yeah, I mean,
may say it's
at,
okay.
I mean, at the end of the day,
but
it's
you
all
don't
about supply
know
and demand, and something's worth what someone's willing to pay.
in each
period.
situation. Yeah,
You know? I mean-
so. But I mean, it. I think
Well-
I think I got a chance of doing it.
Yeah.
I think so. I know 1.2 all day. 1.25. I'm gonna have to,
But-
spruce myself up a bit.
I think the appraiser, and I get it, and I see what you're saying about it, but I think there has to be somebody that holds the situation accountable.
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
I
the
completely
invisible
understand
hand
your
of
position,
economics.
and that's the difference between a realtor and an appraiser.
Right.
And I'm giving you credit on that, right?
And the good thing about Andy,
a realtor's more like my kind of attitude of, oh, blah, 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 blah. And an appraiser's like, great, dude, I'm all about the numbers, no more, no less. That's why they have their role, and they're very important in every transaction.
Andy was a realtor too, so he probably
Yeah.
can get, until you walk through someone's shoes type of thing,
Right,
you'll
exactly,
start
right.
to understand
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And you understand, like, hey, we're going to try to,
I totally understand
I'm not
what
gonna
you're saying.
I'm not
He's-
going to come
he's,
in and kill the
yeah.
deal,
As
but-
much as I disagree in some aspects, you're valid with everything that you're saying, and
Right.
you play a very essential role because at the end of the day, like you said, things need to have a check and balance.
Sure.
So
I mean,
100%.
there are some appraisers that are just not good or they're crooked or whatever. But as long as you use the right comps,
Yeah, that's hardly ever though. Most, I
It's,
mean,
you
most
know,
are like
yeah,
you. You're
right.
very like
Sure.
this is my job. This is how I pay
Exactly.
my bills. This is
Exactly
my
right.
and you take it very seriously, and you've got to support your stuff.
Absolutely.
What did
100%.
what did some of the people in the past that you saw, because appraisers were very regulated, especially recently,
Right.
And it's almost
Extremely.
it's extremely regulated. So you saw in the past you had appraisers probably getting, I wouldn't say paid under the table, but did that type of stuff happen where
Yeah.
people were getting paid money or
I'm
kind of
sure
looked
it's
the other
happened,
way?
yeah, right.
Have you seen any of that? Did you witness any of that back in the mid
have not-
2000s?
No.
Nothing
No,
like that.
because from the time that I got certified,
That's why he's still here.
things were tight. I mean, I don't know if some people might take stuff under the table, but
Sure.
at the end of the day, nothing is worth losing your license.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, I mean,
Yep, 100%.
I think, AM's appraisal management companies were a product of the last crash.
Yeah.
Is that true?
It is. It
Well,
is,
so
there's-
in
you
combination to the lender, I would say.
Rarely does anyone
You know?
talk to Andy in a transit. Like Andy's like separate from the.
That's
lender.
what I'm saying. That's why
Before,
I never talk to the
Yeah.
like.
Yeah,
Well,
but
you
before
can
they
talk
used to talk to you all the time, right?
You
Lenders
can,
used to
you
call
can still
them.
talk to the
Yeah.
appraiser. The only thing is you cannot talk value, or
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
400,000.
Like I'll
Yeah,
answer basic
that's it.
questions about the home they have, but
Right.
I don't talk anything other
Sure,
than that.
sure.
I call the appraiser and say, I need to hit 500. You know, what do you think?
See, that's what you're not supposed to do.
I got movie tickets and dinner on
There
me.
you, yeah.
Here's
No, that's
5 cool hundreds.
So you go back though, like you look
Doesn't
at, yeah, you look at today's world, right? And what do you see out there in today's world? Do you see people? Obviously, there's realtors out there that probably meet you at the home, but is it a lot more? I guess you're more secluded, I guess, for the process of getting this value, right?
Right. We're no longer dealing directly with the client. You know,
Okay.
we're either dealing with, if it's a direct mortgage, direct lender, they have their own sort of appraisal department.
Sure.
So if anything should happen, I can talk to them.
Yeah.
And then they'll convey the message to the realtor or whoever was inquiring.
I have a question for
Yes.
you, Andy.
Sure.
How long have you been doing appraisals for?
18 years now.
Okay. What's the funniest, oddest situation you've encountered when you're doing an appraisal and you just had to appraise a house, and when you went into the house, it was very strange?
Yeah.
Don't even get them started is the answer. It's just like, dude,
Pick one or two.
it's not that. It's a matter of trying to select the top 5, right?
I've had a few that I don't know if I can even.
No,
talk
please
about.
do. Yeah. What's the funniest? What's the funniest
S&M
thing that's
setup.
happened where you're like, what
I
just
had
happened?
one that I went into this house. It was a elderly couple, considerably elderly couple.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Every single wall had pictures of her modeling
Naked.
naked.
Like when she was younger?
Well, I
Don't
couldn't
tell me when she was-
I couldn't figure it out because.
Oh, no.
No. Let me tell you why.
Oh, okay.
She looked younger.
Okay.
The face looked kind of like the way she looks now, which still didn't look that bad. So I couldn't really figure out. But my problem with that situation was there was no way for me to take pictures of the rooms.
Yeah, because literally every picture is going to be pornographic.
Yeah. she was modeling.
Take this, lender.
Yeah.
It was modeling basically. But yeah,
Modeling.
that's so I had to like
Yeah,
Make sure those pictures look-
modeling.
yeah. But yeah,
right.
that was the strangest
That's
one I
funny.
can talk about. Yeah.
So let's go back and talk a little bit about what's happening with the economy here in the market. So you guys, what's going out there in the real estate world? Like, what do you guys see? So what's the big changes you're seeing? Because I want to get your guys' perspective on what's happening.
Man, that I guess personally, for like significant changes I've just noticed are with builders.
Yeah.
I mean, taking buyers and having them work with builders used to be like the easiest.
Sure. Right.
Like I first moved out here from Wisconsin to real estate, and I was like, wait, you just need to walk in the. And I'm like, I thought it was like illegal. I was like, you can make money that easily, like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it was
yeah,
like,
right.
because I mean, it's kind of
Sure.
crazy, right? You just walk in the door, and then they do all the
Sign
work from
them
that
up,
point
yeah,
after,
right.
right? So, but now it's like working with builders. It's like Matt was saying a couple weeks ago, which is it used to be okay. What kind of incentive? Like I can't get you anything off the purchase
Right.
price because they need it to all appraise out the same,
Sure.
and they're not going to look right. But I can get you incentives. I can get you closing costs. Now throw all that out the window. It's can I get your name out of all the other people on the waiting list in the contract? Like I'm the realtor of the century if I can do that right now.
Yeah, that's how it
it's
is.
absolutely crazy. I mean, there's probably another 4 to 5 buyers I have between probably 5 to $1 million that were literally on waiting list.
Right.
We're like, and I'm talking like 2 months away from even lots opening up for that.
Wow.
So a year from now, I'll be getting some good checks, but
yeah, I don't know.
it's crazy right now. It's just, and they're doing multiple offers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you
It's
guys are
highest
out,
and best, I
when you
should
when
say.
you go search for a home, obviously a new home is different because there's a waiting list that's happening right now. Okay, what is that waiting list period right now for most of these builders? And also, are you guys getting less commission for taking?
Yes,
Okay.
and yes. Waiting list is anywhere between I've seen 2 weeks to last Saturday I couldn't be here because I had to.
You had to go take somebody out.
Well, no, it's the builder was opening at 10 a.m. and they were releasing lots at 10 a.m. And I had my buyer waiting for 5 months for that lot to open up. So I was up there at 7 a.m. sitting in front of that builder's door,
Were you
dude.
the first one there?
Damn right I was.
He was like, open,
Dude, I
open,
waited 6
open.
months to not be up first in line.
Did you
I don't
take a chair, fold out chair?
Yeah, I pulled my car I pulled my car right up front of the office, sat in my car. The second I saw someone pull out, I got on my car and stood right in front of the door.
Good for you.
So between me and the door, you ain't getting through me, boy. I'm not waiting 6 months. I don't lose. So anyways, long and short of it is we waited 6 months for that lot to open up. And because of the relationship that I had with the builder, they were able to kind of call me ahead of time and say, hey, just so you know, tomorrow at 10 a.m., it's first come, first served. So if you're here first, wink, wink. I said, sounds good. And I was there at 7 a.m. By the way, no one else showed up until 9:50 a.m.
Wow.
But the one time I wouldn't show up early is the one time someone would snake it from me.
Right.
Hey man, listen, you obviously had a lot of. You told me the night before you had to be there early, so
Told
you were
you,
like,
dude.
dude, I got to be on it.
That was
I'm
my
sorry.
only. That was my only job was to get in contact from a buyer.
And it's totally. I understand it. What about you, Matt? What do you go through?
I have a different approach. You
don't get there early.
No, I do. No, I do. But what I do is if they're female or gay, then
Yeah.
I act all 007 on them, and then I just get inside their heads.
Yeah.
And then I'm like all over them, and then sometimes that shakes loose something.
Yeah.
Right. And if it doesn't, then you just got to get your folding chair out and get out of there at the crack of dawn.
Right.
You take the beach at dawn. You know?
Yeah. I don't take a chance on anyone else. I don't believe anybody when they say anything to me. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to find out for myself and show up first.
Yeah.
Then I bear no risk.
Unfortunately, right now you got.
Sorry, I didn't get that lot after 6 months because
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to do everything you can.
Yeah.
like
I got bills to pay, people to answer, bro.
Seriously, if you have to kiss butt, get it done.
Hey, get it
You know?
done,
You know what
man.
you got to do. I'm all about what I need to do for that.
know?
Yep.
Yeah. So going back to this, let's talk with you a little bit, Andy, on the situation with new home builds versus the appraisal situation.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a different process to appraising a new home that you go into versus an existing home?
No.
Or is it's all the same?
It's all the same.
But you just go there with the projection thinking that you're going to have that value. You know, once it's done, you got to do the reinspection, but you can foresee the value based upon what's sold in the area, right?
Correct. Yeah. The only difference is, like I said, in a new home situation, we know if there was a lot premium paid and the amount of upgrades that was done. With a resale, obviously you have no lot premium, so you cannot adjust for that. And
Sure.
as far as upgrades and updates that they've done, you can compare it to MLS photos. So that's kind of the same, but slightly different because
Yeah.
with new homes we have an exact number that we can adjust.
Do you see though, like there's more appraisers now appraising properties on new home? Have you seen? Because I'm starting to see it, and is that an alarming thing? Because Matt brought it up that's even Brett, that this could be an alarming thing where you're starting to see where the appraisals are not coming in with these new homes. What I mean,
like I said, throughout my entire career, I've only had that happen once.
Wow, I've had it happen twice now.
Wow.
What?
In the last 6 months?
The
What?
value didn't come in.
The value of the
new
new
home.
home
I've had
didn't come in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the new home.
But the contract.
I don't think I've
price
ever had
was-
that happen on a new
That's
home.
because of the upgrades.
That's what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
but even then, they usually give the value for the upgrades because by the time that they get into that property and sell it, or actually complete it or close it, those values have increased because the homes around it is.
Well, that's what I said earlier. Like I said, sometimes right now I've seen contracts that were done back in September of last year. So there's a time adjustment that you can do for that because it's supported. Obviously, you have to do your research and figure out how much that is. But it is supported, and you should adjust.
He's
for it.
all for giving you as much. He's got nothing against you. He's all for giving you as much value as you can get. He's just got to be able to support it.
Exactly. I mean,
Well, right?
if
But-
it's supported, then it's right.
Yeah,
So-
I look at
there you go.
And
I
if
look
you
at
don't
trends,
do it,
though.
then you're wrong.
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely. Yeah, but you got to be
So-
held accountable for your end of it.
Absolutely.
He's not worried about. He's worried about his
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't just pull numbers out of the air.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know.
That'd be nice, but
Yeah.
I mean, I look at the trends though. Just like mortgage rates, when I'm looking at rates, I look at trends.
Right.
If I starting to see a trend, if you guys starting to see a trend where we obviously know that they're overpaying, but like even new homes are now coming in with a trend that they're overvalued or undervalued and not getting appraised value. Is that a sign from something
Maybe.
to come or
It-
see?
Well, why
It might
why
be-
is that? Because
I don't know.
Once again, supply and demand, and number two, lumber and everything's
Yeah,
like up
that's
300%.
skyrocketed,
I
yeah.
mean,
Or-
again, it's all supported by.
Or it could
Something,
be,
you know?
It could be a breadcrumb of doom.
It could be.
You don't know. You
I
don't
mean,
know.
listen.
You don't know.
Listen. At the end of the day, I'm always willing to give a margin of error. Like people always say, "Well, what do you feel about?" I said, "Here's my thoughts."
Sure.
Dude, the world could end tomorrow, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say 100% on anything, you know, because I'm just telling you why I'm thinking why I think that. But I mean, listen, man, anything can happen.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you always got to get a margin of error for that.
The reality, the reality of the situation is everyone wants the home to appraise, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. And buyers should know that there's a risk of that before they write a contract if they have a good agent.
In my opinion, if the appraisal comes in 5 or 10,000 below, that buyer should be happy that somebody's looking out for their interest.
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
You know?
And like you said, if it goes
That's
further
good.
down the
I know.
road,
Yeah.
and then you're looking
But
back going,
the other-
man, I wish he did have my back.
Right.
The other thing is that I'll tell my buyers all the time, I know a good appraisal when I see one. And what's a good appraisal? Well, it goes with what we want is a good appraisal. But
That appraiser's a goddamn genius.
I never expected this.
Goddamn Superman of appraisers right there.
he's a good appraiser.
I tell you, he's a good one.
Oh, man.
But the thing is that you know buyers are aware of this going in, and you know it's part of the game, you know, and so
Yeah.
it's but a bad appraisal. I have had one bad appraisal in 10 years, and why was it bad?
For new home?
No, for a resale.
Oh, I've had a
Resale is expected.
Dude, I've had a
I
bunch
think,
of for
you know.
resale.
It was just,
Yeah.
I had one, and
All of them.
so here's what I do is I know appraisals, but I'm fortunate that a friend of mine used to be an appraiser, and so I haven't thought as you think a tiny bit differently, but she knows how to respond to the bad appraisal or to get an adjustment. Let's say adjust an appraisal, not say it's a bad appraisal, but it's an appraisal that could be adjusted to increase value. Then if you communicate to the appraiser properly, then you may have a chance. But like a lot of people just say to me, oh, we need to appeal that appraisal, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it isn't
To
ridiculous.
appeal-
It's not, this is why. And actually sometimes buyers sometimes get upset, like, oh, appeal it or do this. I'm like, actually it was a really good appraisal and here's why. And you should thank your lucky stars that we're only talking about 5 to 10 grand and not 20 or 25.
Right.
Matt's like, so you talk to the appraiser, see what appease them.
Right.
The only time-
Here's you have a vice. What is it?
Can I tell you something? So this is funny. Back in the crash, I would do a lot of flips on short sales, and I work with investors. And then we would have like someone do a BPO, which is not an appraisal, right? But then,
Hey, I know you back then.
yeah. So then I would show up.
Blackstone.
The contract was like horrendously low, and the contract was horrendously low, and I don't know if I should be saying this, but anyway, so
Say it, Matt.
Okay,
Just do it, buddy.
So then the person,
We're beyond the statute of limitations. We all did different things differently.
So
then.
the person would come over, and then I would be like, okay, like there was this one that my record one that I ever did, right? And then it was a short sale in Spanish Trails, and it was like a 10,000 square foot house that had water damage and bit of mold in it. And then
Oh, is that it?
it was a short sale, and I had it in contract for 370,000.
Damn, man, those are the days, weren't they, dude?
And then, so I was like, I was the listing agent. I had it in contract for 370, and then I taped up the front door, right? And I put a hazmat suit on and a mask and a thing.
Yeah.
And I had a clipboard.
Oh, dude, we used to do that all. We used to do that all the time too at the bank. Dude, Kevin would be on the phone at the bank and be like, "Man, the appraiser walked in there. He started puking because it smells so much shit rubbed in the floor, like totally making."
This actually happened. So,
like the dude from the bank's
so
like
then
gagging on the other end.
He showed up, and I said, "Look, there's toxic black mold in this house, and I need you to sign this waiver that you release me of any responsibility that you get ill from the toxic black mold.
Yeah.
And I need you to sign here and here." And then also I said, "I'm sorry, I don't have any more protective gear, so you're going to have to go in by yourself." And so then the appraiser, the BPO guy was like, "Okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, you just stick your head in. There you go. Have a look."
BPOs, bro, $50 and lunch.
I said like 370. So
Those were the days.
I know.
Right?
376 is the
BPOs,
magic number.
broker's price
And then he
appeal.
didn't even go in, and he did it for 376.
These are all foreclosures, though, right?
Yeah,
But,
these are
dude,
foreclosures.
but
Is
you
that-
gotta
is that-
understand, BPOs are done by agents.
Right.
They're
Yeah,
broker's
I know.
price opinion. They're
Right.
generic.
But-
There's a difference between an appraiser. Listen, you got to be licensed as an appraiser for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, so these values were being given by realtors like me running the comps being like, oh, this looks like a number.
Right.
Can I tell you, in that situation,
That doesn't make it.
in that situation, I got my seller off the hook, right? And I got the bank to give him 10 grand.
Yeah. We used to do that all the time
Like,
too.
And it just was not.
That's
right.
when
And
that's when the
a
banks
crash.
gave in, though.
That's a crash. That was a crash.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's never going to happen again.
I know.
And
You don't think that with the moratorium and everything that I'm not saying. Look, I
I don't
understand.
think so.
Dude, you gotta understand the level that everything was at before.
it was just
The
It was,
level.
it was
I
the
mean,
magnitude
dude, it
was high, right?
yeah.
But I mean, you
It's-
don't see that some foreclosures are going to start to come on the
Well,
market
of
again.
course. I
Right.
mean, I'm
I don't
maybe
know.
like I don't know what to tell you. Like if
I'm not
if
sure.
if there's less demand and some other things happen, then probably. I mean, there's
Yeah.
always people that can't pay their
I
bills or
think
lose
that's
their
why, for
job
sure.
or whatever it is. So there's always going to be an element of that. But here's the thing, right? So say you've got 100 homes in the neighborhood. If you have 2, 3 foreclosures, no big deal. If you have 20, 25, 30 foreclosures, now true value is starting to be brought down.
Yeah.
It's not going to get to 20, 25 foreclosures in 100. I mean, dude, I moved here in 09. There were 14,000 homes on the market. 12,000 of them were foreclosures.
Your thoughts, Matt?
I don't think.
You know?
I'd be surprised if we get a lot of foreclosures.
Sure.
We might get a bit more. You know, like as I mentioned, we always have like
Yeah, there's gonna be.
divorce,
Yeah.
death, and everything else that goes on that causes bad situations for distressed sales. But I'd be surprised. All these people, if there are still any people that aren't paying their mortgage, it's shadow data. There's no notice of default. The local economy is coming back really
coming back.
fast, really fast. The strip's going to get busier. It's a cheaper crowd right now, but when the international tourists come back, the more money's going to come back.
But it sounds better to say we're crashing.
Well, I mean, there's a possibility. I mean, look, is it going to
Something's gonna
crash?
ha-
Is there going to be? I think there's going
there's
to be
always a change.
correction.
There's a
There's
difference
always
between a
change.
correction and a crash.
Right.
There's always a change.
Let's talk about this guy right here. Running Altitude said lot premiums are the biggest scam. You guys think lot premiums are a big scam? Getting into a new
Yeah,
home?
I 100%
You think
agree.
so?
I 100% agree.
Why-
But
can
it's-
they just increase that value
So here-
anytime that they want?
Yes. So the builders now are using that as a way to separate the buyers, right? So we've got 15 people on a waiting list.
Sure.
If we just charge an outrageous amount for the lot premium, that's going to separate a lot of people right there because of that reason. Like it is. I mean, you're telling me, okay, I understand if something like is, you're sitting up on the top of the whole thing and you're looking down, you have no neighbors. I mean, obviously people understand that's going to have a higher lot premium. But some of these, it's a corner and it's got 5 feet this way and nothing behind here, so we're going to add another 30.
It's not even that.
It's
Every
crazy,
single home
dude.
has the same lot premium. There's nothing premium about it.
Yeah, 100% agreed. They're right. They're 100% right on that,
So
man.
I mentioned this. I won a situation, a half-acre lot.
Yeah.
We had a bidding war at the end on the lot premium. And
Yeah, see, that's what I'm
and
saying. That's what
it was
builders
the
are
same
using.
lot. There was nothing different in the lot. There was like 8 houses in a row, 8 half-acre lots. They're all half-acre. It's all flat. There was no premium.
Mm-hmm.
So for an appraisal, that might, you might take that into consideration. But he ended up paying like 50 grand over everyone
Wow.
else, and was happy and won. And at the time,
50 grand above.
You know what they're doing? They're doing the equivalent of this back in the short sale days.
Wow.
The seller who was doing the short sale couldn't walk away with any money. The bank said, if we're gonna, forgive your loan or take less than your loan what you owed, you can't get any money from the sale. So you come in and you've got a house that should be $500,000 that's selling for $250,000. You have all these cash buyers that show up and they walk through and they know the seller can't walk away with anything. So they walk up to the seller and say, hey, that rug you got from Walmart? I'll give you 20 grand for that rug from Walmart outside of closing. Done. That's what builders are doing right now.
Right.
yeah, actually, do you know what?
I should have said that, but
Yeah, no. Do you know what? That's an analogy that is perversely applicable.
Yeah, 100%. That's
You know?
their builder's version of that right now.
Yeah, interesting.
They're going to make their money up. I mean, I hate to say this. It's just like in lending and the sale of the home. They give out, are they still giving out incentives, right? Are they still giving out?
No.
Very little.
Dude, they're not even giving commissions to realtors anymore.
So
Hardly.
this is the biggest thing where now you can really, as a consumer out there, really look and see what options you have for financing because let's be honest. I mean, it's hard to
yeah,
pass
you're not
that,
getting
pass
any
that up.
incentives from the builder, dude.
And then also too, you
Lending
guys are,
nothing.
Realtors are getting less
Do you know-
commission, right?
Yeah.
So
But do you know what?
I can tell you 3 builders right now that don't pay any co-broke commissions anymore.
So The other thing you got.
So guess who doesn't take them on those builders?
With builders is like probably 50 to 60% of the time, the builder's lender will try and jack them on the rate. Mm-hmm. Like I said,
they always do.
Absolutely,
they always do.
Dan helped with someone because obviously you have less leverage because in that particular situation, this was last year, they were offering a considerable incentives,
a ton of money.
So when there's a lot of incentives, even if it doesn't make sense to like lose those incentives, but what builders do a lot is they'll charge an extra quarter point.
Yes.
At least.
It's called built into the rate.
That's what I always tell
way,
people is they add on BS to take away bullshit.
If you do the math on it over the term of the loan, and realistically, people don't stay in the home for like 20 years.
No, not at all.
For math purposes, you way overpay if you use the builder's lender if you don't ask check them on the rate.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which means you should shop, and you should definitely shop, and every time we've been in that situation, Dan has crushed the
Here's
rate,
the thing. Oh, the builder will pay the lender closing costs.
Yeah.
What in life do you know that's free? Nothing.
There's nothing.
So start with that premise and work outwards.
Well, I think Matt has a good point because if there's enough money in it, then you're never going to exceed that money because you're taking the higher rate.
Yep.
Right. But if you have incentives, a lot of times the builder's making it up in other ways. As that's decreased,
just like car dealers.
Yeah, it makes more sense to at least shop your loan, look at a different option. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's talk about. I want to talk about the values again, and we're going to go back to that because we're talking about appraisals. Do you advise clients, like, it's not advising, but do you let them know, like, if you buy this home $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 above value of the home, is it a smart investment? I know it's primary residence, but how long will it take? I mean, this market could go into a recession.
Yeah.
How long would it take to actually get where you break even?
You could increase. You could get that money back for value within the next 6 months too, though.
Yeah.
So it works both ways.
Well, but what if the market starts to level off or starts to go through a correction, right? What if it starts to ease back a little bit?
So what's the difference if you? I mean, that 30 grand extra you paid, even if you paid 30 grand less, the market's still depreciating then, so you're still losing. So you still bought no market that's losing then.
Yeah, I think it goes back to Andy and telling Andy going like, well, you don't want your realtor to be, or pissed off at your realtor because they went in way above and then they didn't advise, hey, it's going to take X amount of years or potentially. What do you see the trends?
But how can you advise on that? How can a realtor sit there and say it's going to take you X amount of years?
Well,
nobody knows the difference.
You don't have to say that, but you can say, look, this is what the appraisal came in at, and you're willing to pay the difference, whatever the number might be. If you're okay with that, that's fine. Sign here saying that I explained this to you.
And Matt does too. I do that at 100%. Is I don't want anybody, listen, something's worth what someone's willing to pay. And if someone says, hey, I'm willing to pay 30 grand over because it meets everything that I want and I'm going to raise my family there, then I say, okay, cool. That's fine. It meets, just so you know, you're paying 30 grand over, but it meets all your needs. Yeah. So, you make that decision.
And the lender's not paying that for you. You're paying it.
Yeah. So I let everybody know that. Yeah. I mean, and some people, say, I like the house, but I don't love the house. It's too much. Cool. Then let's pull out and let's not pursue this one and go on another one. It's no big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say all the time my buyers pay if I can't get some type of value or reduction from the seller.
Sure.
My buyers will pay some difference. And like in the past, like years ago, I had one situation where this was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. They had an amazing swimming pool, and none of the other homes had the yard like this yard was, and it didn't appraise. It was like 20 grand off. I went back out there at night time with the buyer and switched on all the lights, and we sat down in the backyard and I said, look, we need to talk about appraised value. And I explained everything to them, and I said, you are getting, the reason this home isn't appraising is because we've got this like tropical oasis in the backyard.
It's over-improved, actually.
Yeah. And so I said, basically,
the nicest home in the neighborhood isn't necessarily the best.
I said, what you need to decide.
Thing for your value.
Yeah. I said, what you need to decide is, do you want to pay 20K for all this backyard?
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, I do.
Sure.
And they closed on the house, and now that house has gone way up. But like, in terms of like, I use the phrase this because, obviously we don't have an opportunity right now to like count every penny as buyers. Well, we do count every penny, but what I'm saying is we can't grind value out of the transaction. It's hard, right? Because of the shortage of homes and supply and demand. Right. But I tell people that they're parking cash because, like, if you look at everything, like the grand scheme of things, over like 5 to 10 years, okay, over 5 to 10 years, people buying now, we have a limited amount of space in the valley. It's going to fill up. And when it fills up, it's gonna. That's my
whole
thing. Building all the apartments.
Yeah,
people are gonna have to live in high density accommodation because we're filling up in the valley.
Yeah,
and it's probably gonna. I mean, I'm guessing. This is just a guess, but would you say that if construction continues how it's going, I mean, obviously there may be some type of slowdown at some point, but like it's probably going to take about 10 years to fill up the valley.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to.
If it kept going at this pace,
yeah.
Oh.
So when the value,
that's a developer question.
I've lived here in Vegas for over 30 years now.
Yeah.
And it still hasn't filled up. So
yeah.
I mean, you keep expanding outwards. It depends on who wants to live.
Yeah,
out
right.
There,
so that's what I mean. Like I don't know.
But I'd say the only big tracts of land are like you got. I mean, there's pockets in the southwest. You've got mostly in.
If you look at an aerial
yeah.
view of the Southwest, it's like open.
Yeah, so there's
like,
a lot in
like
the
north
Southwest,
of Blue Diamond Road,
right.
above Mountain's Edge. Like
yeah.
it's just a whole, like the whole city's like filled, and then you see this like open.
Yeah. So it's gonna fill out. So I say if people, most of my clients are buying their last house here. A lot of them are like relocating.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. They just want They just want their nice home, their nice payment.
And they're going to be here forever and a day. So I guarantee they're going to come out ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it really. The other thing, it does depend also with buyers how much they love the home and how much rejection they've had. Like in the past.
Oh yeah, you're right about that, man.
After like 4 or 5 rejections, by being like 10K off in the offer, then it gets quite aggressive.
Yeah.
You got to.
I've seen some buyers just accept, and they're just like, it works for me.
But
like,
I tell my buyers, listen, I tell all of them,
kind of sucks, but
it's not fun right now. And I tell them up front, this isn't a fun time to be a buyer. And I say, look, you've done really well to like get into the position to buy a home.
Yeah.
Not many people, not often people can do that.
Yeah.
But like you've done really well. So don't take it personally, because we're going to get kicked around a bit right now.
Yeah.
And it's just how the playing field is right now.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think it's a different world out there right now with just everybody looking at these properties. I had somebody recently that got out of contract and they were really discouraged, and they were like, "We're not doing it. We're done. We're done."
I've had that happen a few times.
It's crazy because
they just
you
say
get
we got to
burnt
out.
You get burnt out.
Yeah, we got right back into
Say,
contract.
great, send me a retainer. Just kidding.
It's too upsetting.
It is.
I wish.
We got right back into contract, and we actually closed on that house, and they're happy now. But it was one of those things where you have to come in as a therapist a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Yeah,
you know,
dude, we're
guys,
not just realtors. Believe me, man. I've babysat.
Yeah.
I've provided marriage counseling.
It's
dude, you know,
it's resolve. I mean, you got to have resolve.
Psychotherapy.
Can't give up. It's a market. It's a tough market. Right. You know, your clients. So let's go back. Let's talk about one last thing here. So you guys see this market heading for a correction. Do you see that happening at this point?
No.
You don't?
I don't see it heading for a correction. I should say that's an open-ended question. Everything's eventually going to correct.
We're starting to
and
see
then
signs
eventually
of
take off
existing
again,
homes.
and then eventually come down again, and then eventually.
Yeah.
Do I see it happening anytime soon? No.
Matt?
I don't think
Not
so.
saying it can't. I'm saying I don't see it.
I think, for what it's worth, I think that we're going to see more of the same going into next year. We may, I think, it might reach a ceiling where people just have enough.
Yeah.
And
But
then,
that's a year, you know.
and then things will like flatten out, and then I think that will be the new normal.
Andy, from an appraiser's perspective, what do you think?
Again, I agree with him by saying it's an open-ended question because anything could happen.
Yeah.
In other words, anything could influence things. Interest rates, another pandemic, another whatever you want to call, stock market crash, whatever.
Yeah.
Will there be a correction? Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of interest rates, if you guys look at this chart right here, I mean, I'm just going to throw this in here. So everybody's always asking me what rates are doing on a weekly basis, and this is like obviously a trend.
Bless you.
A very volatile trend or graph here. You know, you look at this graph and you look at the green and then versus the red. We lost a lot of pricing on Wednesday, but then gained it all back. So everybody's like, well, where are rates headed? We really don't know about rates. You know, one of the things about mortgage rates is they're constantly they're changing all the time, but they're volatile. And for the most part, they're not increasing either direction too much, right? So it's gonna be interesting to see what rates are gonna do. I think they're gonna trend up, especially if the inflation part. We all know inflation's going up. So if inflation
Absolutely.
continues to
Yeah.
increase, I think
I personally, I
Yeah.
think that's going to be the biggest threat for anything,
Right.
which is inflation and the value of the dollar and all that. I think that's going to be
Well,
a silent upcomer that
And
if,
that's
if
what-
anything
yeah.
is going to, that's going to be the up and comer out of nowhere, man. That steamrolls people.
correct, and that's what I was gonna say is that rates will go up, and that's what's gonna keep this housing market potentially slower or slow down because it's gonna push people not to want to buy
Yeah,
as
their
long
buying
as
power is going to go down.
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
exactly. And
Yep.
so I think if that happens, then we're gonna see that. What do you think, Matt?
I think that's a good point. As I mentioned, like I use the phrase like parking cash
Yeah.
to people where there are appraisal challenges.
Yeah.
And you got to look at like how much everything's increasing in value, gas, food.
100%.
If you took $100 and put it in a bank account right now, next year at this time, it'll be worth $95.
Yeah, so I don't know.
They'll still say 100, but the value of it's $95
Right.
So,
for
I mean,
for leaving your money in the bank.
Sure.
at the end of the day, at the moment, the right
kind of
people,
insane.
the right people are in the right homes. They can afford to be in the home. The underwriting's very strict. The appraisals are very strict. I mean they're very
Everything's regulated,
concrete.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think we're not in a Armageddon situation like last time, but there's going to obviously real estate always changes. Mm-hmm. There's some, I mentioned about 5 to 10 year time frame being solid, but we'll just have to see. It's an interesting time. It's a very interesting time, and there are a couple echoes. People are right to be concerned about a crash because there are a couple echoes of what's happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we've got a different setup this time, hopefully.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
We do. And I mean, listen, anything can be nothing one day and all of a sudden be a huge problem the next day. A lot of things you can kind of foresee, but sometimes life is, and I'm always open to that.
Do you
know
see
what I
rates
mean?
going
So-
up, Andy?
Well, I think they already announced that by next year, which when saying next year, I'm not talking a year from now, maybe 6 months from now, rates are going to go up. That's what the talk is right now.
I guarantee the
So
Fed's, dude.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the Fed is.
Plus, inflation is I think it's going to force it to go up.
Here's the biggest thing for me. They've printed, what is it, 2/3 of the money that exists in America right now has been printed in the last year and a half?
I mean, one of the things.
2/3 of the money, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? It's
They're-
big.
like,
One of the
it's
things
got to
I
be
wanna
backed by
say is
something
this.
or it means nothing. People don't understand that.
You're a big cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
so I'm going to bring this up for you.
Yep.
You can't pay for your loan through cryptocurrency, but you can.
DeFi. That's why I'm telling you.
Hold
The
on, hold
future
on, hold on.
is.
When you transfer your money from a bank, banks are now willing to not have to source that money. This is something that you're starting to unfold or see, where if you have a large amount of sum of money, right, sitting in your crypto account, you can transfer that money, and if you have like a wire or a receipt for that, then you can use that. If you had like Coinbase or something like that, underwriters aren't being able to source that money. That's the big issue. Now they're letting that crypto.
They just need to create a whole market for it.
Yeah, I mean they're starting to.
Like, so the big thing about DeFi, decentralized financing, is that it's not owned by anyone. The blockchain's owned by everybody.
Right.
And it's approved by, like, you see what I'm saying? So not one central figure or anything can manipulate anything or bring in their own, whatever it is. It's the market, truly the peer-to-peer determines everything on it.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
That's,
opening
you know-
up on the lending side. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So
on
what,
the, on
what
the financing part of it,
what
though,
I want to do is I want to
banks
sell.
are starting to open up to the idea of working with it. They're not going to
Yes.
say I want to replace it, but working
Yeah.
with it.
Well, I mean, so you're hearing about El Salvador that wants to make their currency Bitcoin.
Right.
The thing about that is the backing of that will be the US dollar. Everyone thinks it's going to be this huge. I'm like, but it's got to be back. The value of that is going to be backed by the US dollar. So it still keeps us as the leading currency for backing the value of it. That's what people don't understand. And it doesn't matter because more countries are going to do it and they're not going to have a choice. So you either get on the bandwagon or the other way. So.
Would your company take cryptocurrency for payment in the future, or is that something you guys looked at?
No,
I can set you up
we
with that
have
if you
not.
want.
We have not looked.
I can
at
set
it.
you up with that
Okay.
and how to do that.
I think it's not saying it's not going to be there, but I think it's pretty far ahead
But
of
see,
its
our
time. It's still a little bit.
Our clients that pay us are the banks or the AMCs.
Yeah.
It's not a personal.
Yeah. So
individual.
banks aren't going to.
So banks are not going to pay us in crypto.
Yeah, banks
So-
aren't. They're gonna-
So let me ask this: like,
That's
let's
their
say
kryptonite.
Let's say if somebody's like, "Hey, if we give you the ability," let's say the banks now adjust to saying, we're going to, take that for appraisal cost or upfront cost, would that be something that appraisers would have to adjust to?
They may, but see, I don't know too much about cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
What I've been
It's ahead of
doing
its
is
time,
just.
yeah.
So here's on your purpose. Here's what you need to know: if the person paying you wasn't a bank and it was a regular consumer, there's an app out there that I have.
Right, yeah.
I didn't come up with it, obviously, but there's an app out there where you set up your business account, they set up their business account. You basically send them an invoice, like you owe me $400, whatever it is. They can send it back to you in cryptocurrency if they want. The second it hits your account, it automatically changes into USD.
Okay. That's
So
what I was
they
gonna
can
say.
pay you in Bitcoin, but
Right.
you're receiving it in American dollars.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
Why would you
because
not take that? It's just another
so
avenue of
volatile.
payment. Yeah.
Even that gal that was talking yesterday on the news about that house.
Yeah.
She
Yep.
was saying, they specifically touched on this. The minute she gets the Bitcoin currency,
Yep.
she would immediately convert it to
To-
US
to-
dollars.
There's
dollars.
apps that do that.
because
Yeah.
it's so volatile. I mean,
There's-
It's so volatile.
There's an app called Crypto Bucks. And,
Yeah.
and literally, I sit there and I say, okay, someone owes me $300. I send them an invoice. It goes through their text and their email, just like a regular invoice.
Sure.
They get it on their phone, and it says USD or it says Ethereum, Bitcoin, whatever it is. Say you hit Ethereum, it pays it in Ethereum. The second that I receive it, it would be in USD. I can receive Ethereum back if I want it, or USD.
So what's the advantage though to doing that? Why not just pay me in US dollars?
There is no financial advantage other than to get it out there more of using Bitcoin.
I'm feeling
So
really,
a currency or a currency and a movement can't take over if more people don't start doing
I
it.
struck a nerve.
Brett,
You know what I mean?
you're making me feel really insecure about this cryptocurrency because yesterday I went to JCPenney and bought 2 dress shirts for $150.
Yeah.
And I felt like I got robbed because the whole place was empty.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think?
And I missed my ex-wife because she would have got me a discount or a sale. It's like,
There you go.
What does it have to do with Bitcoin?
nothing. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that it's all.
Here's the thing: the
We'll
more
see what
people use
happens.
Bitcoin, the more it gets accepted. The more you get that power away from the central figures that manipulate it. So that, I guess, the end goal is there for the incentive, but as of right now, other than, I mean, listen, if I'm trying to get actively buyers and sellers right now to buy or sell their properties with Bitcoin. If I can get 1 or 2 people to do that, the first thing I'm doing is sending a press release to the damn news.
Didn't somebody just buy a property with Bitcoin, right?
They have it on the market right now.
Yeah, and they're going
Which is crazy because these people who are facilitating on the listing side, I'm not
Do you
going to
know
say who
what?
it
Hey,
is,
listen,
probably don't
Brett.
even know how to spell Bitcoin.
Brett.
And they get,
Brett, you're just giving me an
Drive me
idea
crazy,
with this,
dude.
the
Drive me
listing I
crazy.
have coming up this week.
if you want to buy or sell Bitcoin, contact us.
Maybe I could sell the house more for Bitcoin.
You could.
We should talk.
You could.
Like, maybe.
But I mean, you got to consider that the buyer point for people who are willing to use cryptocurrency is probably going to be well above.
Well,
$1 million.
but you got to realize too. Look at man. The reality is, yes. Is it another tool?
It's called being ahead of your time.
Yeah, it is. But here's
So-
the thing. Where's the consumer confidence at? I don't think it's 100% in crypto yet. So it's all in.
Of
it's
course,
all-
that's why I can't get anyone right,
Right,
now.
exactly. It's all in U.S.
No
dollars.
kidding.
Right? It's all in U.S. dollars. So I don't see that this is going to just change the whole dynamic.
Other than to say that you're part of history, there's no financial incentive to do it right now.
Yeah.
I can facilitate it, and I can even do a transaction so that the contracts and everything are on blockchain. In fact, whenever someone sells their house with me, I can have the title recorded in blockchain afterwards. So now let's go back to 2013, 2012. AB 284 was a law that they created in the state of Nevada, which basically said that banks can't foreclose on a property anymore unless they can show that they can bring in the original deed on that.
What about judicial foreclosure?
What I'm saying is this: back then, the reason why banks had to move to short sales and couldn't foreclose anymore was because the state of Nevada said if you can't bring in the original deed, it's a felony.
Yeah.
That problem would have never happened if it was all on blockchain.
Yeah. Well,
True.
look, let's look at it's
You
something.
don't think banks would have wished they had it on blockchain?
It's something with the
Dude, it would save them hundreds of millions of dollars.
This is a good conversation. We can talk about this forever. But you guys, we're going to end the show. We've been on here for over an hour. Andy, I want to
Drop the mic.
I appreciate you, Andy, for coming in.
My pleasure.
If you guys have any questions, definitely comment in the comment section. Matt,
Thank you for having me.
yes. How does somebody get a hold of you, Matt?
At Shield Team 6, SHIELTEAM6 at Instagram.
Yep.
Shield Team 6. Get in, get out, get it done.
That's it, baby. That's it. Brett, what's up, man? You got a website? You got a
Nope.
channel. You got a channel going on now, right? YouTube channel?
Yeah, YouTube channel, but I don't have enough subscribers to actually be able to put a name
Just
to it. They won't let YouTube hold me. Like I've got to have a certain number of subscribers before you can like officially have a title of it, whatever. So in the like domain name.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to anybody who wants to buy or sell cryptocurrency with a house, man.
Buy now.
Dude, I don't know how we're going to make it happen, but we will. I'm certified for it. I'll facilitate it.
Yeah.
We just need willing people, dude. That's it. Who wants to
Andy,
be part of history?
I want to
Come on.
thank you so much for coming on today, Andy.
Oh, thank you.
You taking the time. Appreciate
thank
you.
you.
It's giving an insight to everybody out there for appraisals and what we're going through.
Absolutely.
And that's it. If you guys, like I said, please subscribe to the channel. If you guys have any comments, please comment in the comment section. And we'll see you next Saturday. Same faces other than Andy. We're out.
Bye, man.
Thank you for watching an episode of the French Workbench Podcast. If you want to tune into past episodes, please subscribe to my channel now. Also, if you want to look at our audio-only options, we do have iTunes and SoundCloud.